while I was on a job. So, what next? After that, after you're through with making your living, what next? And what next is, you need to write down your life. What you did, what did you learn in my job as a young teenager up through what?
Being 88.
Pardon?
Being 88, might as
Yeah.
well write your story up to where you are now, in the moment.
When were your moments of aha? Because we all have them.
So we're going to get you a notebook tomorrow.
Okay.
What's the first story you're going to put in it? Why don't you tell us right now the first story you want to put in it?
I would have to give that some thought. I went to a dance. My dad played saxophone. And this gentleman came up and asked me if we could dance, Valiant Hotel. And I said, sure, why not? So we danced. And he was a good dancer. He knew how to dance. Before I knew it, so did I. And we danced that whole night together. I didn't even know who he was, but it was fun. We were having a good time. And then just before I went home, my dad played in the orchestra. He said, can I come and visit you? And I, as a teenager, said, sure, why not? I live out in the country, go for a horse ride. And that was the beginning of our relationship. Because Burl was smart. He was extra smart. So when I said, well, you need to go back to school and get an education so you can get a decent job. Because he didn't like the cows. He didn't like the horses. He didn't like the bullshit. He was a student of learning. And he said, you're out of your mind. And I said, nope. You need to write down for your posterity. You are now, at your age, going back to school. So he did. He didn't write anything down, but he knew it was a project. He knew we had come to a point where he could no longer hold a job.
So what do you remember of those times when your family was going through, when he went to school? Any memories that were good or struggles?
Well, I remember trying to make going back to school a worthy cause. It was no longer a hardship. It's no longer a have to. But somewhere in my existence I had learned that knowledge isn't a killer. It's a blessing. So the more you know, the better way you can handle things. Why do farmers milk cows? Because they've chosen that occupation as a livelihood. My father hated milking cows, but he did it because it was his livelihood. I didn't want Burl to have to spend his life milking cows. So I said to him, I don't know how old he was. He was in his 40s, wasn't he? 30?
Well, you had all your kids.
You're going to go back to school and you're going to get an education, or you're going to spend the rest of your life milking cows. And Verl was smart enough to know that what I said was true. Because in those era of time, there was only a few things you could do to make a living.
So that took several years to do. And you can't remember a lot of things,
No.
but see if you can remember one memory of that time. You lived in Logan, Salt Lake, Greeley, Colorado. Those were the times he was going through school.
I remember dedication. I was bound and determined to get Verl educated so that he could make a decent living. And I knew he was smart enough that he could do it. Now, I wouldn't ask that of somebody that you could tell didn't have the mentality. But Verl was smart. And he didn't like to milk cows or shovel manure or gather the eggs. None of that stuff was his forte. He liked to talk to people. He enjoyed people, and the harder the conversation was, the better he liked it.
So how come that didn't make you afraid?
I've never
You as a mother of 8 children.
I've never been afraid. I'm not afraid. Because there's a God. And He knows our lives intimately. And so when someone comes along that needs to be brave, they can be brave. All they have to do is put forth the effort. And God will provide the way. And that's all it is. All you gotta do is have the effort and find the way. Anything you want to do, anything you want to do, unless you're in bed crippled or unable to move, there's always a way. All you gotta do is get on your knees and say to the Lord, I can't do this. I've done that. I've got to find a way to make life better. And the answer was, go live with Mary Ann. Good. Now, what did you do when I moved in?
Said thanks for coming.
Did you?
You brought chickens, you brought a dog.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any qualms about coming to your house. I didn't deliberately come to live. But I did come to visit, and it just kind of melted into a relationship.
Good. Well, I'm glad you decided to stay.
I don't have one whit of regret. I left it as it was. I took it as it is, and the only thing I know that's hard is this right here. Mary Ann isn't a lover of dogs.
She has become one, though,
Oh, good.
because she knew she was going to live with my dog.
Oh, okay. So you were the leader.
So that was before you came.
Yeah. Okay. That was, yeah.
So she shows you that you can decide to make changes in your life of those things that you may not like or feel comfortable. But with Heavenly Father's help and you choosing to make a different choice, it happens.
Yeah.
When has that happened to you?
I can't remember. I live in the moment. The other day I was trying to remember something and the thought came into my mind, you are now living in the moment. So don't lose them. And I know that was direct invitation from God. You are now living in the moment. Don't lose it.
What do you think that means? Don't lose it.
Don't get fussy. Don't get demanding. Don't get upset. You are still a visiting guest. And this isn't the farm anymore. It's the closest we're coming to that farm where there's chickens. Your job now is to level out. Do you know what that means?
No?
Treat each moment with grace, commitment, and dedication. Commitment, dedication, and acceptance. I'm an old lady. I got a dog in my lap. I'm an old lady. How old am I? 80 what?
2 8s.
88? 88. I am extremely grateful that I had a place to go. It's not a nursing home. Just recently, sometime I can't remember, we went to a nursing home.
Mary took you there to visit your sister. I think Windley Sue or something like that.
Yeah, and I was so grateful. That I'm not in that situation. Not that. Well, they're very impersonal. They have to be. Being around old people who are dying, you have to be gracious. But just be grateful you're not one of them.
Well, we're glad that you're here living with us so we can be together as a family.
I appreciate that. And I've never felt unwelcome.
Good.
I never have. There are times when I shut the door, and I know Mary doesn't like dogs. She never has. Never has. So I appreciate the fact that she tolerates this dog and that dog.
Me too. What else do you have in your room she's tolerating?
Oh. Let's see.
They're on your dresser.
On my birds.
Yeah.
The birds. Yeah, well, I brought the farm with me.
Well, tell all your daughters something that you want them to know.
I am grateful to be here. I'm comfortable. I have my freedom. And I'm just very grateful.
Okay. Well, we love you very much.